Hey guys, it's Alex Base here. Last year I did a review on the very good CMF Phone 1 and it turned out to be a very good budget device. At the time it started from £209 and it's got a great screen, also very good chipset, great battery life, and it can shoot 4K video. That is very rare in the budget class. Fast forward this year, and I've got in my hand the CMF Phone 2 Pro. And again, the CMF Phone 1 Pro and the CMF Phone 2 got lost in the shuffle. They don't exist, and nothing continues with the confusing names. It is what it is, right? And of course, I've left a video breakdown for this review, so if you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can just skip to the part that you're most interested in. And if you want to watch the whole video, well, thank you very much. But again, you do you. Back to this beauty here, the CMF Phone 2 Pro. I've got the European version in my hand, and a quick clarification, when I did the unboxing of it, there is no charger in the box, and the only market that's going to get a charger bundled in the box is India. However, from what I've heard, the CMF Phone 2 Pro won't have NFC there. So it is another confusing thing. So Europe gets NFC on this one and no charger, and India does not get NFC on their phone, but they do get a charger. Even more confusing than the freaking names. This one here is 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage. The starting price of it in the UK is £219 at the minute. In Europe is 239 euros, and I believe in India at the minute it's about 19,000 rupees. And also you can get it in 256 gigabytes of storage. Again, same memory, 8 gigabytes of RAM, but it is expandable, virtually. This has been upgraded in several ways compared to the CMF Phone 1, and the rest has stayed the same. And on paper, this is a great budget phone, but is it really that great in the real world? Let's find out and delve into it in more detail. Here are the main specs of the phone, and they're quite impressive for a budget device at this price point. Going over the build and the design, it's again made of plastic on the back, and then the frame is also plastic, and you've got the power button and the essential key underneath it. On the bottom we've got the dual SIM tray, the charging port, and the mono speaker port, and we've got the volume rocker on the left hand side. On the top there's a single mic. The design is definitely more polished and refined compared to CMF Phone 1. Very curiously, the phone actually weighs only 184 grams. That is 13 grams lighter than CMF Phone 1. One thing nothing has not improved is the sound. It's again a mono speaker, and I'm not going to waste time with hearing it out. It's of poor quality. The good news is you can stream high resolution audio with compatible earbuds and headphones. Everyday use is quite smooth with that 120 Hz AMOLED screen and the burdenless Nothing OS. The software is a joy to use, and there are no adverts and no third-party apps apart from the ever-growing list of Google apps, of course. Everything is quick and snappy. CMF Phone 2 Pro runs on Android 15 straight out of the box, and you get extended period now, 3 years of software and 6 years of security updates, and I got an update straight away. It's Nothing OS 3.2. The phone has some customization in line with Nothing Phone 3A and 3A Pro. Not the most customizable on the market, but still you get to choose certain things. Wallpapers, icons, colors, and a bunch of others. More importantly, there are other features that have been added, such as always on display, for example. Just bear in mind, if you use always on display, it's going to consume more battery. Another feature that's been added on CMF Phone 2 Pro is the NFC, which was missing on CMF Phone 1. Again, that feature is market dependent. You can virtually expand the memory from the storage by up to 8 gigabytes of RAM. A quick note about the SIM card, there's no eSIM support and you can use 2 SIM cards or you can use 1 SIM card and 1 micro SD card. You do have the PIN and also fingerprint scanner and face unlock for security. The fingerprint scanner is reasonably fast. You do get Ultra HDR in Google Photos, which is superb for this budget class. In terms of AI shenanigans, you do get the eraser, however you don't get the reflection, anti-reflection and the blur and unblur for some reason. The eraser works reasonably well for this type of budget device. You also get Gemini, which is excellent for this price point. And then there's the essential space here. And what you're going to do is activate it with this button here. So you can record a audio or you can record, let's say, a photo or a screenshot. So you press it once, it's going to prompt you here, and you can even add a note with it. Let's say bro or anything you want to add to it. And it goes into the essential space, or you don't have to type any note whatsoever and it stays there. The other one you can do is tap it once, go here, press on the microphone. Yes, I just did the photo. Press it again, and now it should send it to the essential space. Let's try it. Go back, there we go. Play audio. The microphone. Yes, I just did the photo. And that's pretty much it. Nothing special. Moving on to the display, it is a slightly larger 6.77-inch Super AMOLED display, and it is bright outdoors, and also now you get HDR10 Plus and also 1 billion colors compared to the just HDR and 16 million colors on the CMF Phone 1. Another thing that has been improved is the bezels. Now they are a little bit slimmer compared to CMF Phone 1. Take note, Samsung, Google and Apple. And in typical Nothing fashion, you get 2 color modes, Alive and Standard. Alive is vivid mode essentially, and Standard is more like natural mode, and you can adjust the color temperature too. You can also adjust the color contrast with 3 options. And of course I did mention it is HDR10 Plus this time, which is great. Amazon Prime recognizes it as HDR10 Plus compliant, and YouTube also recognizes it as HDR compliant too. Watching any content on this phone looks good. No matter if you're watching a movie, animation, sports or TV shows, you won't be disappointed. In short, this is a fantastic display for this price point. Now let's talk about the refresh rate. You do get 3 modes, dynamic, high and standard. When you put it in high mode, the highest you can get is 120 Hz in the interface, and when you web browse in Google Chrome. The refresh rate does not dial down to 60 Hz or less when you're not touching the screen. When you're watching videos in PIP mode, you get 120 Hz, and when you're in full screen, it goes down to 60 Hz. When you choose dynamic mode, just like on the Nothing 3A and Nothing Phone 3A Pro, you do get 120 Hz in the interface, but when you web browse in Google Chrome, it only goes up to 90 Hz. And again, when you watch videos in PIP mode is 90 Hz, and when you go to full screen, it goes down to 60 Hz. When you choose the standard mode, well, everything is locked to 60 Hz, and that's it. In terms of gaming, I got the same results as on the Nothing Phone 3A and 3A Pro. You can use the game mode to enhance the performance of it. Well, it's mediocre gaming, but still it counts. I got 60 Hz of my beloved Asphalt Legends. I also got 60 Hz in Call of Duty. However, again, in PUBG, I got 90 Hz, and I'm taking that especially on a budget device. So high refresh rate gaming is not exactly possible, but it's still better than expected. In terms of performance, the CMF Phone 2 Pro is powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 7300 Pro, which is basically a very slightly overclocked version of the Dimensity 7300 in the CMF Phone 1. In terms of stability, it is great, just like its predecessor, and when you put it under stress, it shows excellent results. As you can see, 99% stability rate. Geekbench 6 results for gaming are pretty much on par with the CMF Phone 1. As you can see, not much of a difference here. Very slightly better, but that doesn't really count, does it? Even in Vulkan benchmark, it is a very negligible difference. In terms of CPU, it's the same story, the same results really in both single core and multi-core scores. This is not necessarily a bad thing because this is mid-range performance on a budget device. I did run the AI scores as well just for fun, and they turn out to be again on par with the CMF Phone 1. I did the same tests on the Nothing Phone 3A and the 3A Pro, and at least here with the CMF Phone 2 Pro, I did not get the pathetic results I got on the other two phones, so I'm happy with that. Now let's move on to the battery. In the battery app, now you do get an extra feature apart from the already useful adaptive battery feature, the charging assistant, and the battery health. Now you can actually track the health of your battery in terms of percentage and also how many times you charge your phone in the cycle count. This is superb for a budget device at this price point. Again, a reminder, only India gets a charger, the rest of the world does not get one, you have to source your own. It's a 5000 mAh battery with 33 watt charging. Charging it from 0% to 100% in 15 minutes, I got 29%. In 30 minutes, I got 57%, and a full charge took roughly an hour and 7 minutes. Not breathtaking results, but definitely great for a budget device and much quicker than an iPhone, Samsung, or a Google Pixel. And again, fast charging does not damage the lifespan of your battery. This is just a huge lie. In terms of battery life, 1 hour of phone calls took the battery down by 1%, which is excellent. 1 hour of web browsing took down the battery by 3%, which is again a very good result. 1 hour of videos took down the battery by 4%, and 1 hour of gaming took it down by 6%. Overall, this is a great battery life. And last but not least, let's take a look at the camera. And we've got a telephoto lens, yay! So we've got a 50 megapixel main snapper, Samsung ISOCELL GN9 with PDAF but no optical image stabilization, an ultra-wide 8 megapixel Galaxy Core GC08A8, and a telephoto lens 50 megapixel OmniVision OV50D. On the front, we've got a selfie camera 16 megapixel Galaxy Core CG16B3. The selfies have definitely been improved since CMF Phone 1. The colors are good, there is some noise again, and the detail is okay. It's not a class-leading selfie, but still the results are more than adequate overall. In portrait mode, the separation of the subject is pretty good. As you compare the images from the CMF Phone 2 Pro with the CMF Phone 1, you can see the Phone 1 definitely has much softer look and less detail in it. The shots from the main camera are overall good, especially for this class. I wouldn't call this maturely processed photos, but still, the colors are good. Also, the dynamic range and the contrasts are also okay. The detail is a little bit over-processed and over-sharpened, but it's still a budget device. I didn't expect much from the 8 megapixel ultra-wide shots. they are again soft with the detail a little bit lacking. However, the colors are also okay, and I think they give you usable results during the day. The results from the telephoto lens with 2x optical zoom are excellent for this budget class. You won't be disappointed during the day. The night selfies on the CMF Phone 2 Pro again are surprisingly good. They are not flagship level ones, of course, but still the colors are nice, the exposure is okay, the high dynamic range is also good, and I was surprised by the quality of them. And in portrait mode, again, the separation of the subject is pretty good. However, when you use the night mode, it destroys skin tones and everything is given a yellow ghostly hue. The night shots from the main camera are pretty good. The detail is solid, the colors are also looking pretty good, and the dynamic range is wide. The ultra-wide lens struggles in low light conditions, and that is to be expected. Preferably you won't be using it at night, but then again, if you want to use it in well-lit conditions. And even then you won't get great results. That's of course to be expected. Again, the 2x telephoto lens delivers surprisingly good images. There is plenty of detail, very little noise. The colors are also looking good, and the contrast is good overall, and the dynamic range is well wide. Let's have a look at a few more samples from the 3 cameras on the back, and we are going to move on to the video. There is no dedicated stabilization settings or modes in the camera app. However, the main camera has an always-on electronic image stabilization (EIS). It works okay in both 4K and 1080p. Not perfect video, but still good for this budget class.
Alright guys, this is the 1080p 60 frames per second, which is the maximum on this selfie camera, and the other option is 1080p 30 frames per second. Pointless to use it really. Try that one. (1080p 30 frames per second from the ultra wide, which of course is the maximum for this lens. (4K 30 frames per second from the main camera. And this is from the actual telephoto lens, 2x zoom, and the maximum 1080p 30 frames per second. Let's compare that one to the 2x crop from the main camera at 4K 30 frames per second. See how it compares to the telephoto lens. (4K 30 frames per second main cam, and 4K 30 frames per second 2x digital zoom. This is the ultra wide main cam, 2x optical zoom. Alright folks, that's 1080p 60 frames per second. ultra wide 1080p 30 frames per second. Main camera 4K 30 frames per second. "4K 30 frames per second, 2x zoom." Let's try the telephoto lens, 2x zoom.
Well, there you have it, folks. The CMF Phone 2 Pro. Best in class camera. Also pretty good chipset. More than adequate for the budget class that this phone is in. And the screen is fantastic too. IP54 is better than nothing. Pun intended this time. The mono speaker is horrendous, but it is what it is. At least it's got, HD audio through headphones and earbuds. And the battery life is also pretty good. Now, if you're in the market for a phone around 20,000 rupees in India, 220 pounds here in the UK, or $279 in the US, or in Europe is about 249 euros, well, this phone should definitely be towards the top of your list. You definitely need to check this out. Now, thanks very much for watching and see you next time. Ciao.